So I recently rewatched Saving Private Ryan, and it got me thinking. I wonder if there are any games where I can storm the beaches of Normandy with the boys, or rush Stalingrad, or even just drive a fishing boat through a war zone. Well, after a quick Google, I found it. Enlisted. Enlisted is one of those games where you just see it and think, yes. From the scale of historical accuracy of blowing people's heads off with shotguns, it's amazing. The pure amount of neuron activation is a sight to behold. But before we get into that, we have to do some chores. That's not very interesting, so let's just speedrun it. Okay, first, infantry. Walk, run, crawl, shoot more, throw a grenade, and get nuked. Just kidding, that's how gaijin says it's all over. Good tutorial, that is. Next, tanks. Drive, break down, commit die on useless friends for not helping. See someone enjoying a nice drive through the British countryside and end it. Oh wait, that's not how gaijin wants you to do that.
I blew it away.
Sorry, fucko. Try again, sweaty. Drive. Stop driving. Murder.
Fucking.
Okay, fuck this. I'm doing engineering. Boring. Okay, planes. Fly so low you can hear the crowds making rude remarks about your mental capacity and skill. And it ended by dropping £200 of skill issue right on top of them. And then fly off into distance. Anyway, back to the game. There are 4 countries you can play: Japan, USA, Germany and USSR. Each of battles only they can play. For instance, only the Germans and Americans can do D-Day because guess what? That's already happened. And only the Japanese and Americans can fight in the Pacific. So you don't end up with the Germans attacking Alligator Creek, or the Russians trying to spread their communist fingers over Africa. And you don't just control one guy, but an entire squad. So pushing the Y key allows you to swap team members. Got a tank that's killing for your team? Just change your anti-tank gun and blow a crate in that thing. And then switch it into dropping medkits so that your mates can get back on their feet. Also, there are loads of different squads in said country, so you can have one specialised for a key area, like medics or anti-tank units, or just 7 blokes with Springfields, which makes it less of a game, more of a mobile firing squad. Now these squads are pretty good, but I think I can do better, so I decided to make a kind of special forces group. I started with a medic regiment, gave them machine guns, explosive charges, and alcoholic substances.
Whiskey. And then we sent them in.
But wait, we haven't given him a name. Well, I decided to call him the Bean Berets. After an hour we were unbeaten, and the enemy had been covered in Heinz ketchup sauce. Right up until we got to Normandy, where after 10 minutes we came to a conclusion.
Situation update, we're fucked.
Amazing. Anyway, moving on.
Wanting to try something new, I remembered the biplanes from earlier. You know what I'm thinking.
But at least when you do eventually get shot down, seeing as your pilot has a machine gun on him, you can just jump out and run around behind enemy lines, like the saboteur you are inside. Oh, thank you, gaijin. You can also find random vehicles around the battlefield, like fishing boats and trucks, and even some old Gerbenwagen. But let's be frank, tanks are better. Like, even in lower tiers, Japanese get these tanks with loads of armour and have better penetration and depth, but the Americans just get some dude's pickup truck with 430 cals on the back. Like, who doesn't love picking up the boys and speeding through the battlefield to the sound of freedom?
Oh my god, what are you doing? What?
And when my engine did finally give way, you can just get out and keep shooting because I equipped my men with submachine guns. And it's not even like you need to grind for hours to get anything good, because rifles one shot to chest. And this applies to most of the game. Like, if you see an enemy tank, you can still more or less take it out with a few charges to track. Or you could opt for the anti-tank gun, which you can get from the beginning, unlike the rocket launchers from the later war, but it doesn't really matter. And that leads me nicely onto weapons, which can either be great or awful. Snipers are normally a controversial topic in games, but in Enlisted I think it's more straightforward. They're good if you're in a heavily suburban area like Moscow or Stalingrad, but anywhere else, for God's sake, rip that scope off, get up there, and stop being a backline bitch. Submachine guns are pretty good in all scenarios as long as you can see the enemy. Anti-tank guns or anti-material rifles can destroy tanks with absolutely no difficulty, but I tell you what, that Japanese one is automatic. I also love how customization is limited to the point where you can have bayonets and scopes, but not reflex sights on an STG-44. Yeah, I still haven't forgotten you Call of Duty Vanguard. You can get an assortment of weapons which are relatively cheap, because let's be honest, the smokes you get from the beginning are really not that great. You're better off with a TNT charge or an impact grenade, or if feeling a little silly, a Molotov cocktail to brighten things up a bit. As maps go, Enlisted has some bangers. Normandy, Stalingrad, the continent of Africa, and I could even go as to say they're nearly as good as the Battlefield 1's maps. There are borders to the maps, as in all games, but they do randomly change very quickly, to the point where you could be running around in safety, getting one-shots and generally feeling good, to the game turning around and shooting you back of the head for cowardice. But it's fine, it's fine. It means I get to play my new favourite game, Unenlisted. Anyway, thanks for watching, subscribe.